Hi there, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. My name is Melanie and today is another Smash Your Stash video. This month, the challenge of the prompt is unfinished projects or projects in process, that kind of thing. And I am going to continue off from last month's and continue with the base page idea, only this time I think we're going to start putting photos to pages. Now I have this bin here. It is probably up to about here, our base pages, and I have a whole other bin. So I have a lot to work through. These are other projects, but I'm not going to focus on that today. I recently worked on printing a bunch of photos off from, I think from like 2011 to 2017. So I've got printed photos. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go match these up. I will come back, show you the base page, and then I will show you the completed layout. Before I do that though, I do want to remind you this is a collaboration. It is hosted by Beth over at Bourbon Creek Crafts. It is a playlist collaboration, which means to check out all the other participants, click on the description below, and there is a playlist there that you should click on to see what everyone else was up to this month. They always come up with something great. So without further ado, let's get this party started. Okay. So I have gone through and I have pulled out a stack. If I get this all done, you guys, I will be absolutely amazed. And good thing for you, you get to find out right now exactly what I did accomplish. Some of these are a bit of a stretch. I don't know if I'll be able to make them work or not. We'll see. I have a feeling I'm going to pull in some pocket pages for some of these to make it work. It's kind of the process you have to go through when you have base pages. So, you know, there's a little bit of a trade-off, and I'm okay with that. Okay, you guys, just so you know how I'm going to film this. I'm going to go through all the base pages I've selected, but when I actually go to show you the layouts and how they're done, it'll be the base page and then the completed layout, but it may not be in the same order. So if you see a sneak peek, that may not be the next one. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, let's get started. I think I pulled most of the photos from 2011, 2012, which is kind of fun to go back in time and work on some older stuff. And my hope is that I don't have to reprint any of these photos, but I'm not opposed to it if it makes sense. So I'm going to try not to, but if I can't make it work, then I will reprint. So the first base page here, I have two 4x6 photos and a page. I just recently created this in last month's Smash Your Stash with some basic gray. So this is what this one looks like. Okay, so for this one here, I started off with the title, Until We Meet Again, and I really wanted to play off of this kind of turquoisey blue-green in here. This is not an exact match, but between that color and the blues, I think it works okay. And I found from the Office, I think it was Office Hours collection from Pink Fresh, I found things like this clock, the word work, top priority, this globe, this little clip. So I turned the journaling box into a clipboard. The globe symbolizes the fact that I'm moving. And then the clock is about until we meet again. So it's that timing aspect of it. And then these were work friends. And then I had some of these foam sticker flowers that had many of the similar colors in it. So I thought, why not? And that's how that layout turned out. Okay, so this next little bit, these are all photos that were taken at my parents' 40th wedding anniversary. My mom wanted photos of each individual family unit, or if we were singles, you know, a photo of us. And I've opted to scrapbook them independently, so not as one event, but just as a photo of that particular family member at that particular point in time. So the first one is of my sister, and I'm going to pair it with this Felicity Jane base page, probably something like that. It's already got a title on here, so minimal journaling. It's probably just going to be name and date, and some embellishments. This photo of my sister was on the base page that I used from Felicity Jane. This was actually part of their packaging and like their paper pack packaging. And so I went to my Felicity Jane section and I just pulled out a bunch of items that coordinated with this. I found this row of hearts and the fact that I had the title #LoveYou. I thought that went with that theme, so we just carried the hearts a little bit more. And then I love butterflies, so you know, I found some of those to coordinate. And all these little tiny hearts were in the Felicity Jane section of my scrap room, so it just made sense to continue on with that theme. Same event. This is the base page. I think it was designed to go this way, although I guess I could put it that way. I just think I like it better that way. I thought I'd pair it with a photo of my grandmother. I think the blue in her outfit complements the turquoises and stuff, or rather the background papers of turquoise and stuff complement the blue, and yellow and blue just always pop. So I think that'll work. You'll notice a theme. I also pulled out more florals. Again, these were from Hobby Lobby. And I went with yellow because of the yellowy green in this pattern paper. I also pulled in these florals, which are more whimsical than these ones, but I think it kind of works because this is also a little bit whimsical. I don't know. I went for it. I found Grateful Heart. These are all kind of the same event, so maybe I had a theme going. These florals were from Pink Fresh, I believe. So this one here, it has some turquoise in it, which is not the color that my parents are wearing, but I do think it still kind of works between the purples and the different shades of purples and pinks and blues. I think that'll work. Probably we'll add either the photo up at the top or the bottom. I'm thinking more towards the top, and we'll probably just put a title, you know, noting that it was their 40th wedding anniversary. So that's that one. When I was going through my die cut sticker binders, I opted to go look for some floral elements because of the fern kind of background in here. I found these flowers that had both like a purpley and a pink. Are these colors an exact match for the paper? No, but I think because of the different tones and shades, I guess, of what's in the pattern paper, I think it works. And these are chipboard, I think, from Hobby Lobby as well. They are the same one, or the same repeat pattern, but I just oriented them a little bit different, and I like how that turned out. The title says Thankful Heart. This was from like a sticker sheet of words, and I just wrote a little bit of journaling. Yeah, I like that one. Here's some jelly bean soup. I have these cameras, and some of them are popped up. I'm not sure if you can see that. And I thought that lent itself pretty well with this photo of my sister and her family. I think my niece's top picks up the pinks in here, and then with all the different colors in here, I think it just goes. Again, probably not going to be too much that's needed. Maybe a title, a few embellishments, although this feels already quite embellished, so maybe not a whole lot. This one turned out really fun. Not at all what I was thinking when I went into this, but I found this title in my foam stickers that said Love Your Tribe, which I thought was really cute to describe your family. And then I found this camera, which I thought was fun, playing more off the cameras in the paper. And then I came across this emoji, which I thought was super cute. So I just kept looking, and I found a few more, and you know, next thing you know, I've got a bunch of emoji stickers, cameras, and a few enamel dots. Okay, we've got this kind of fall woodsy one, and I thought I'd pair that with a photo of my brother and his family. They're wearing all darker colors. My one nephew is wearing a little bit of red. It's not a direct match for this, but I think it still kind of works. I had these Love You All. I think these were from an Amy Tan collection. Included in that foam thickers were these floral elements, which aren't a direct match for this paper, but they have a very similar vibe. And so I just opted to add a few of those in there, the date. And what I do quite often is I will add the names of the family at the back, and I do them Like, I basically try to line up the name directly behind it. So if you were to flip this over, you know, the name here would be for this person, to try and visually align them. But I don't know, maybe it makes more sense to do left to right. I don't know. What do you guys do if you have large photos or large group photos? Do you add the names on the layout? Do you add them on the back of the page? Or maybe you add a tack journaling or something like that? Let me know. I'm curious. This was leftovers from a paper pad, I believe, from Park Lane, maybe? And I thought I'd pair it up with a photo of my other brother and his family. Both my sister-in-law and niece are wearing some quite bright colors, so I thought that complemented well with the bold paper. This was another layout where I opted to let the cardstock do the talking. I found these words all together, which again, this was at a time when my family was all together. I used this frame to kind of mat or contain my journaling. This same paper pack had some hearts, which there were already a lot of hearts, so we just played off that theme. I stuck with the gold because this paper is foiled, and so just played off of that. And I think this is okay. It's simple, but I think it still does the trick. Got some older pink fresh, and I have a photo of, yes, another brother and his family. I think the original thought was that, you know, a photo could, you know, end up here vertically, but I think this will still work if I span the banners with the photo, and I think with their different shades of purple and the darker tones that works well with this kind of purple and blue paper from Pink Fresh. Okay, so this is another one where what my original thought when I was doing the layout wasn't how I ended up using this, but I ended up spanning this across the two banners like I had indicated, and I really liked how that turned out. I opted to use these gold stickers that say Happy Heart on them, and then these coordinating hearts are from the same sticker sheet, I think, although these solid ones might be from a different sticker sheet. I can't remember anymore, but same deal, just date on the bottom and then the names are on the back. This was a scrappy base page, and I just layered a whole bunch of papers together, and this is a photo of me, and I am wearing a shirt. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's like got florals and stuff on it that kind of remind me of this paper, and so I think that'll work really well. And even though there's not a lot, well, there is some pink in my top, like the purple of the carpet of the church overwhelms the whole thing, but I think, again, because I've got the dark pinks and different shades, it works okay. I found these, I guess they're chipboard pieces. These were from Hobby Lobby, I think, and they are the same image repeated, which I think is okay. The pink in here sort of plays off the pink in the patterned paper, and then these are actually I think these are peonies. This looks like a peony as well, so I think it all works. And then I just made the title Happy Day, you know, because it was a happy day, celebrating my parents' anniversary. This next layout features this stripy kind of base page, which I thought would complement well with a photo of my car that I had in Canada that I had to sell. And this was the photo I used for advertising, selling it when I moved to the US. I opted not to bring it with me just because everything was in kilometers and, you know, the hassle of trying to get it across the border, etc. So I think the stripes kind of work with the car. I think of like stripes on a road, that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to go this way or this way. I guess you'll find out right now. And this one, sometimes I don't know when to quit. So this is about a time period, I don't remember if I told you this at the start when I paired this photo up, but basically when I moved to California I had to sell my car, and so I have quite a few of these photos about saying goodbye to people, and I thought I would just call this one So Many Goodbyes to also include a goodbye to my vehicle. And then I started going to look for vehicle embellishments, and I found this #go, this chipboard, and then I also found this little puffy sticker. And then I found this license plate that said California on it. Pack your bags. And then Adventure is Calling, I Must Go. And then Going, Going, Gone. I loved all of those. Like, they just fit the theme so well. I guess that's why I couldn't stop. And then to balance out the black title, I added some of these foam hearts. And again, one thing led to another. The next thing you know, yeah. Anyways, I still love it. It's just, it's a little busy. Okay, so this one, these two papers are not intended to be a 2-page spread. But they do feature papers from the same crepe paper line. Which I think I can make work. I have some photos of a trip that I made to Quebec in the winter of like their festival that had all these like snow sculptures and stuff. I think I have too many photos, even for just these 2 pages. So this is probably where a page protector is going to come in, and then I'll just fill it up with photos. Either that or it'll be like a 6x12 insert or something like that. And I think having that insert in between here will break it up so it won't be obvious that it's not a 2-page spread. But I think there's enough patterns that cross it. Like, for instance, this pattern is down here that, you know, I think it'll still work. This particular strip, I don't know if this will make sense necessarily with this, so I'll probably cover up some of it maybe to add the title. I don't know. We'll see right now. In order to bridge this so that it looks more cohesive, I opted to align the photos on this side so it gives a break between this pattern paper and this. And I think because they're from the same lines, you know, at least I think they are from the same lines, it actually reads very much like a single layout. But if that wasn't enough, I did have an extra 12 photos. I opted not to use a pocket page, mostly because I couldn't find one that had this configuration. So I just adhered the photos in or on a piece of cardstock. And so this will go here, it'll flip over, and then we'll extend onto this page. Now, as far as embellishments go, I don't remember where these came from. Maybe Spellbinders, I think. They had these little cute critters. I found this tree, which I think I might have stamped at one point and die cut out. There's more of those little critters, another one down here. This cold burr, I think, is from the same line as this. And what I did was I filled in the interior with some Nouveau crystal drops. And I think that kind of looks like ice. And then I took some stickles and just partially glittered up the wood veneer tops to kind of look like a snowy or frosty setting. I also added in a wood button with a tree on it to play off that theme, as well as enamel dot. Okay, so for this next layout, I actually have 3 photos, 2 of the same nieces and one with a different niece with my dad. And I don't necessarily need to keep these together because it's more about the photo with the niece than it is about the event that they were attending. And so I'm thinking this paper here, it's got words like magical, XO, yay, happy, love. I don't know about the best day, but I think it still kind of works. My nieces are wearing colors that are in that paper, which is kind of nice. And I think it's kind of a whimsical paper that matches the photos, I think, pretty well. This last photo, I didn't find a base page for it, so this is just going to go back in my photo stash or photo organization once I'm finished this. And, you know, the opportunity will present itself on another day, I'm sure. Okay, so for this one, I used 2 of the 3 photos, and I pulled quite a bit of stuff from Paige Evans' collection. The flowers, I believe, are all from there, as are, I think, this butterfly and this butterfly. This is from Kaiser Craft. I don't remember where everything came from because I just pulled out my die-cut sticker binders. You know, it's a big hodgepodge. But I really love how this one turned out. I thought it was cute, whimsical, and I just love this photo. So when I saw this base page, I knew right away that I wanted to use these photos. They were photos taken from the plane on a flight to Quebec. And I have way too many photos. I understand that I have too many photos. So I'm not sure exactly how this is all going to lay out. I might trim some of these down, you know, to make more fit, or I might drop a photo. But I don't anticipate taking more than one page for this. I don't think the story or the photo or the event warrants more than that. This was the cardstock that had the paper planes on it, and so it only was fitting that I used an aerial photo from a plane. This, I did have a few extra pictures for that. I really didn't think it was necessary. I'm probably just going to declutter those. And I found these stickers in my die cut sticker binders of these planes, and so I actually ended up covering up the paper airplanes but left the little trail. I did extend some of the trails across the other parts of the layout to extend that, and then of course I added a title and a journaling card. So when I have a big event, I will often do a separate album for it, but then in my chronological album, so I don't do my layouts chronologically, but I store them chronologically. So in my chronological album, I like to put, you know, a page or two that kind of makes a nod or a reference to that event, so that when you're looking at the chronological books, you see it in its entirety, I guess. And so I have about 4 photos that I picked from a trip to Disney with some coworkers that I wanted to put in here. And I just happen to have 1, 2, 3 layouts that are Disney inspired. And so I think I will spread out the photos across the 3 layouts. I should be able to make that work. And these should be really easy to do, I think. Minimal embellishing will probably be required. Okay, so here are how the 3 Disney pages turned out. Again, these are all from the same event. So I'm anticipating that this will probably go in the album, maybe something like this, and then the 3rd page. So this one here, all I did was I just added the title, the chipboard, and the flare. This one, I added the sticker, a couple pieces of chipboard, and then these really cute little Mickey heads, like almost like enamel dots, but in the shape of a head, because I thought, kind of, you know, playing off that idea of a hidden Mickey. And then this one, I really didn't do anything other than add the photos and the journaling. Okay, I don't know how well this is gonna come across. So I have a bunch of Vicki Boutin layouts. They're from a class that she taught. So this is intended to be a 2-page spread. Then I have this one that's intended to be a single, but it features the same patterns. And I have this one, or these 2, and maybe, I can't remember, you guys, which ones are supposed to go together. I think these are also intended to be singles. The point is, I've got quite a few layouts here that I can mix and match with, and I have a birthday event, and I've got a few different photos of that I think would work well with these layouts. So I'm just going to do some creative sorting out and see what I come up with. So I don't know if I'll end up using all of the base pages, but I'm keeping them all together just so that I've got the flexibility when I go to make them. Okay, so these were pretty much done. The only thing I did was added some journaling. I don't think I had to change the photos too much other than trim them down to fit. These didn't quite fit within the mats, and so I just staggered them slightly on both, and I think that looks great. So this is a 2-page, and then this will be the 3rd for it. So they still coordinate, even though they are not exactly the same, or wasn't intended to be a 3-page one. And I don't think I did anything special with these, just added the names on here, and that was it. And this technically is from the same event, but I may end up putting this in my niece's, or in my niece and nephew album, Not so sure. It might live in here. We'll see. But this actually focused on my niece whose birthday we were celebrating. So this was more family, and then this was specifically for her. This was another Vicki Boutin class, and again, I don't remember if these were intended to be 2-page spreads or not. They're also a whole pocket page series, so quite a bit. Same deal, I have another birthday featuring quite a few photos. And we're just going to try and make it work. So let's see how this one turned out. Okay, this is another one where I had a lot of photos. I have 2 photos left over. These are going to go back in my to be scrapbooked, and they'll probably end up just being individual photos for my nephew and niece's binders. I was able to trim down photos, and on this side I think everything was as is, except I added the labels to document the names, and otherwise I just added the names on top. And then I did a little bit of journaling up on the flip side of this card, and then on this side you know, I just added the photos where they needed to go and another little label for journaling my niece's name. Those of you that watched last month's video will know this was a base page I created using scraps, and I just so happened to have a photo of me with purple hair that I thought would work really well with this particular picture. No, it's not my real hair. It was a wig. I'm not that daring. But we had, I can't remember the exact story of why we got wigs, but there was a group of us at work that all got wigs for a reason. I think it was something my boss said. I'm going to have to talk to my coworkers to remember the full story, but I thought this will turn out or will work quite well. This was a Amy Tan foam thickers, and the word "this happened" I thought just fit, you know, this idea of me having purple hair. Oh, really, it was just a wig. I did some journaling. I pulled in some foam thickers. This is from a Simple Stories collection, but I think the colors worked okay, and we're playing off the butterflies in the paper. I tell you guys this all the time, how amazing I find it is that I can get base pages to work with photos. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that I'm not being overly particular, and that I do things, like I'm pulling from a wide variety of photos, right? So this was another page that I had created last month. No idea what it was going to be used for. Here for the good times and take note and big smile actually all work. This is an opportunity I had at an event here in California to go and witness Tim Holtz do a demo. And like, look at you guys. Can you get any more perfect from this person's green basket, her red shirt, the dark blues? Like, it's pretty much perfect. This was another one that I really did very minimal on it. I just added the title Pure Genius. I added the enamel dots and then some journaling, and this one was done. Now, on the camera, this looks very hard to read, but in real life, it's really not that difficult. I also did this one, I think, last month, and I have a bunch of pictures that I took when I visited Carlsbad, California, and the ranunculus fields that are blooming, that bloom in the spring. And so I have a bunch of photos of the fields as well as of myself, and I think the colors and the palette just work perfectly with these papers. Now, I don't know exactly how I'm going to get this all to fit. I may end up trimming some of the photos down, but I think this is going to work quite well. Now, I have more photos from this trip besides just the fields. And again, I'm treating each section of it differently, so I'm not concerned about having every aspect of this particular day match and coordinate. It does make it a little bit easier if you don't worry about that kind of thing. The really only time that I worry about coordinating things is when I do like a mini album or something. Then I like it to be a little bit more cohesive, but in my normal album, I'm all over the place. This was another layout that I kept super simple because there was so much going on with the pattern paper in the background. I found this phrase on one of the foam thickers. It says bloom and grow, which is all about these ranunculus flowers. And then I had some black foam hearts on the same sticker sheet, so I just added those over here to kind of tie the black in, and that's it. I do have more layouts for this particular visit, and so I will do more journaling on those layouts as opposed to this one. Okay, Laura, this one is for you. After last month, she had commented that she would really love to see a layout with this particular base page, and I found some photos of a trip to Laguna Beach with some friends, and I've got some beach photos of my friends, where we went for breakfast. So there's a few more photos in here than I think will fit on the 2-page. But again, I think some of them I could probably drop or not include, or I could trim some down. When I did up this base page last month, I absolutely loved this paper. I had kept a hold of it for a very long time. So I did cover up a little bit with a journal card, but I really didn't feel like it needed much in the way of embellishments, because I think the paper itself was embellishment. So I found a glitter blue alpha to do the title that sort of plays off the water color behind, or the watery color behind the starfish. I had some Felicity Jean chipboard from a beachy vacation theme. This one says, remember this. This says the best views. And then over on this side, I added the 3 circles that say beach, and there's a palm tree, and then the camera. And I really love how this one turned out. I did have an extra 2 photos for this, and these are both represented. This one here is at the racetrack, which this is what this photo is, and then this is just a more expanded photo of this flowering bush. So I don't think it's necessary to keep these. I might turn this one into a card, and I probably will just get rid of that other photo. This was in a Blitz Your Kit, and I happen to have some photos of a trip to a botanical garden here in the LA area. I have a bunch of photos, and there's actually way too many photos for this particular layout, and I'm okay with that. I do have an album where I put some of my favorite photos that I take of like flowers and animals and stuff like that, so the extra photos will just move over into that album. Okay, this was a layout or base page I had created using an SCT kit. It was part of my Blitz Your Kit series. I added the 3 photos. I added a little bit of journaling down here at the bottom, and I think that was pretty much it. No other changes needed. So this is a Christmas layout, and I have some photos here of my Christmas tree. This was before I was doing the December daily. And I also have a bunch of photos of me unpacking my Christmas tree, and you're probably thinking that that's kind of weird, but the photos tell a story of themselves as far as how my brain works and things. So I took the photo so I could remember how everything was packaged, so I could put it back in the box at the end of the season. So I think these are probably going to go in an insert, and it'll just be like a 6x12 insert or something like that, I think. So this is one where I did pull out a pocket page, another thing that I needed to use more of. And I call this one Behind the Scenes because it really tells a little bit of a story about me and how I do things. And in this case, it was a behind the scenes stories of how I set up my tree. I've got the journaling on a journal card, and then I've got some photos of the different stages of unpacking the tree from the box so I can remember how to put it back in. No other embellishments or anything. We're done. That was pretty much, that was pretty much it. Okay, I'm going to use this 2-page spread for a spa day. I've got a bunch of photos from a spa that's fairly local. I guess it's probably about an hour and a half away. Friends and I try to make it there once a year. It doesn't always happen, but we do try. This was taken in July, which fits the whole summer thing. I don't remember if this was a weekend. Probably not, but it doesn't really matter. This was another layout where I basically did nothing but add photos and a little bit of journaling. I don't think I tweaked or did anything else. At some point I'm going to run out of these layouts that are pretty much ready to go, and I'll have to do a little bit more work. So this is going to be another layout that requires a little bit of of modification in order to make this work. So my parents, before they downsized, had quite the Christmas village. I believe my mom mentioned that she liked a village and my dad took it and ran with it. So I do have some photos that I think I could probably trim down to 3x4. And then I think on this side here where I have the 4x4 photos, I will either trim this down, or I'm thinking I might even just extend it beyond, because I don't know that I necessarily need the tags for journaling. And I may end up with a couple photos that are extra, and you know, it is what it is. Maybe do a flip flap or something like that if I can find them. This is another double page spread, and I opted to not trim my photos down but to cover the tags. I didn't really need that. Well, I thought I didn't need that much for journaling, and then I still had photos left over, so I pulled a 6x8 insert. So this is just going to slide in between here. I don't know if these holes will align perfectly. If not, I will punch new holes to make it work. And basically I just added the 2 extra photos and then these journal cards. So I also decluttered my journal cards a few months ago, so I am so thrilled that I, you know, managed to use these as well. But yeah, look at that. I guess decluttering has another payoff. Okay, this next group, I think they're not all intended to be necessarily together, but they're using the same collection. So there is this layout. I actually think I bought this collection after I took this class unintentionally. It's from Rosie's Studio, I think. Anyways, I'm going to document Christmas, and I have a lot of photos. So there's at least 4 that will fit on here. 2 3x4s. I'm hoping I can find some to trim down. 2 4x6s, and then some more 3x4s, which there is room on this side that I can extend if I need a 4x6. So we'll see how this one plays out. Oh, you probably want to see the photos too, so you kind of see what I'm working with. Like some of them can be trimmed down, I guess is what I'm saying. You wouldn't know that it was Christmas looking at these photos. They're just photos of people, not necessarily... Well, we don't really do the whole gift thing, really, as a group, so I don't really have a lot of those types of things. It's usually food and just hanging around playing games and stuff. Okay, these are documenting 2011 Christmas before I started doing December daily. I do have a few photos left over. Most of these are just going to go back in to be scrapbooked, and I will use them to scrapbook the individuals in these photos, as opposed to quote-unquote the event. I use this double page spread to get 4 photos in. No other adjustments other than adding the date. And then I used this one to do the journaling. And then this one I did have to modify slightly to get these in, but I think it still turned out okay. I just didn't have 3x4 cards all the way, so I just extended this over a little bit and it turned out all right. And then I had one last photo that I did want to document on this page. I used the title Merry Christmas on this one. I think that was already in place, and this was my nephew's first Christmas, so I thought it was fitting to put that in here, and I just made a note that it was his first Christmas. Okay, this one, it features a spring, or is intended to be a spring layout, and it features 2 4x6 photos, which I happen to have something that says spring with 2 4x6 photos. So this one's going to go together really quick. Okay, I found another title from my foam stickers that said the word Fresh Start, which I think totally fits with spring. These are a couple favorite spring photos of some trees that are blooming here in California, and I did a little bit of journaling, and that was pretty much it. Okay, so this 2-page spread is designed for a lot of 3.5x5, 3x5 photos, which again, I'm going to have to do some finagling because most of my photos are 4x6. So that does mean I'm going to end up with some sort of border at the bottom, and I'm going to have to trim some of these down, which I think I can do. And not all of the photos will necessarily need to be in here. So I will probably have to go and find like some washi tape or something to put along the bottom. It's all about being flexible, you guys. Okay, this one was a 2-page spread that called for 3x5, 3.5x5 inch photos. And instead I had a 4-inch photos going this way, so I just trimmed them down to fit width-wise, and then I actually pulled from my 6x6 papers. If you guys know, I have been decluttering my papers, or my 6x6 cardstock, and reorganizing paper pads and putting them in colored sections, and this was so easy to go and pull something that coordinated, and I didn't have to use a 12x12 sheet. So look at that, you guys. I am using my 6x6. So besides adding this little strip at the bottom, I did add my journaling, and that was pretty much it. Okay, this one's going to be super, super quick. It calls for a 3x4 photo. I'm pretty sure I can trim this one down. It's already fully embellished, has a title, everything. This one's super fast. This was another one where I just trimmed the photo down, add a little bit of journaling, and this one was done. Same with this one, just calls for a 4x6 photo. So what I love about this photo is my niece is wearing purple, my dad's wearing blue, and my niece is wearing like this red color, which while the red's not in here with the pinks and stuff like that, I think it still goes pretty well. Another one that's going to be super fast. The title says it all, and I added a date, and then I just hand wrote a little subtitle in there, Sitting with Grandpa. And again, I put the names of my nieces on the back so that for future reference, that is available. Okay, so the next thing I want to document is a work trip that I made to Vancouver, Canada. And I have quite a few photos. Again, we're going to try and make this work. I have these layouts it was from a Close to My Heart kit. And one layout just didn't cut it, but then I had a second layout featuring the same collection. And what I like about it, one is the same colors coordinate. So it is kind of cool that it's still the same event. And while I said I don't care about it matching perfectly, it is kind of nice when it does. The other thing I love about this is this kind of reminds me of a mountain, which, you know, Vancouver is known for. So yeah, I think this one will turn out pretty cute. Just need to get the photos to work. I think I can do it without even reprinting. That's the goal anyways. I did add the title, When Work and Best Friends Align. And on the second layout is where I did the journaling and just included the rest of the photos. No other changes. Okay, so this one is another Close to My Heart kit, and it says, Away We Go. Remember this, so happy to be here, enjoy your stay. And what I thought I would do is use this for when I first arrived in California. And basically I did not have a place to live. And so I ended up living in a hotel for a while. And so I have a few photos that document that. So I might try to change the title here a little bit from we to I, away I go. You know, basically this is the start of my new life in California. I think this will work. I just have to play around with this a little bit and cut down sizes. And I've got some space to write some journaling. It said Away We Go. I actually got rid of the we and I added the I. I found this is actually a swirl from a foam sticker sheet. I used the hearts from the foam sticker sheet to add and tie that in. Added a little bit of journaling down here, and that was pretty much it. So this is another Close to My Heart kit, and I thought I would use this to document the going away that my family had for me before I left for California. I don't know that all of these photos necessarily will make their way in here. Like, I've got a lot of my nieces that are individual, like just photos, which I could do separate layouts for, and I'm okay with that. So, you know, I think we'll just see what we can get to fit and go from there. And if it needs an insert, we'll add an insert. Okay, this was another spread that was mostly done. I did not do much to this one other than I added a subtitle, the date, journaling, and I added this butterfly, and I'll explain why in a minute. But before I do that, I do have a few extra photos left over that didn't make the cutoff. And what I did was I looked for these individuals in these photos already, and also what I'm going to show you. And if I had them represented, I pulled them apart. And what I'm going to do is I'll just do separate layouts for these for my nephews and nieces album. So that is what I'm going to do with those. And then I do have an insert. And again, because I had different configurations, I opted to adhere these to a 6x12 piece instead of trying to use a pocket page. Just wallpapered it. On this side, I had a little bit of extra room. And so what I did is I went to my stash and I found a text print cardstock, because there is a lot of kind of scripty, texty print in here. So I thought that would work. So even though it's not part of this collection, I think it still works. And then to tie in some of this pink, this is a piece of washi tape. And because washi tape often is clear, you can see the text through that. So I like that. This was from my journaling spot. This was from my die cut sticker binder. And then there's more of those butterflies in the yellow. So I added one over here because I had 4 of them, just to kind of tie it in a little better. I love this photo of my sister with my niece and nephew. Not the best photo in the world, but I thought it was still kind of cute. My sister's a little bit photo shy, so doesn't always transpire, or don't always get a lot of photos with her. But I do think it's still worth documenting. And so I have this layout here that was from a Pink Fresh leftover bits. And I think that'll work out pretty well. For this one, I'm letting the paper be the embellishment. I already had this floral piece, and then I had fussy cut out the floral on this side. I found some stickers from, I think it was Hip Kit, that said Happy Day in the same color. So I played off of that and added every day as a happy day, and then I did a little bit of journaling about my sister and I's relationship with our nephews and nieces. Neither of us have any kids, so I think it, they mean a little bit extra, I think, to us, and so I just wanted to document that. Okay, so this one will be another highlight travel page. I'm going to have to do a little bit of finagling around to make this work. I think, we may cover the mats just to get a few more photos in, but I think that could work pretty easily without too much modification. Anyways, that's what I'm thinking. Here's the finished page. Okay, so this is just the summary page documenting my trip to the Dominican Republic. It's not the full trip, not all the photos. I think I mentioned that before. I just do a sampling. I have this band down the middle here, and that's where I thought I would put the words Dominican Republic. I think that's kind of fun to have that. It adds something, but you don't immediately notice. It kind of blends in with the background a little bit, so it's kind of fun. And then I just add my journaling on this blue tag. I had thought originally to put it down here, but I think this worked out just fine. Okay, so another 2-page spread that I'm thinking I can use for birthdays. I will have some extra photos, I think, and that's okay. I think we can trim that down. Same with that one. Maybe throw that one here. And this one, I'm thinking we could maybe somehow get this to span. What I'm thinking. Yeah, and then the leftover photos, I will just do separate layouts for them. Okay, this one did require a little bit of adjustment. I only had a spot, I think, for 3x4 photo on here. I ended up going beyond. Originally, I had thought I would just have 1 photo here, but I managed to sneak in 2. These flower elements were down here before, but I just peeled them up very carefully and relocated them. Added a little bit of journaling, and then on this side, I could have used this for a photo or journaling, but I decided to put the words all together with stickers. Okay, so this was another work trip, this time to Australia. And this is more of a highlight, I guess. I'm pretty sure I documented this one already. So just a a highlight reel like I mentioned before. So I think I can trim that down to 3x4. I think I can trim this, either this one down to 3x4, or I might just add that here, and then this one I think I might be able to fit. I don't know, we'll see. Or maybe I'll extend it over if I need a little bit of extra space. And then I have 3 photos left that I will probably, what am I thinking? I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these, because I do want to include them. So it's going to be either an insert. I think I have this collection. I think if this is a Maggie Holmes travel one. I think I have this one. So I should be able to make either another page or at least do some sort of decorative items for the insert. Okay, so let's see how this one turned out. Okay, for this one, I do have a couple more photos. I think I have 3 photos that I want to include in this summary. I just ran out of time, you guys. Well, time and steam. I am pretty sure I have this collection. I think it's a Maggie Holmes travel collection. So I'm going to use these, or use that collection to do the last page for this. I really love how this one turned out. I don't know if you can see. I just have the 3 photos. I added this journaling card and I put Australia at the top, and then I did like a little checklist of things that I did while I was in Australia on this particular trip. I added the month and the year. So what I did for this one, on the little folder that I keep the extra photos in, I just made a note, 2-page layout already done, single page with Maggie Holmes travel collection is basically what needs to be left. Okay, you guys, look at that stack. That is everything I finished this month using base pages. Granted, a lot of them were pretty much done, right, from classes and stuff, but there were quite a few that I started from, you know, my basic base page, so I'm really happy with that. From a number count, it's kind of hard to tabulate it, but I did 16 double page spread outs, so 2x12. I did 20 single, and I did 3 double with some sort of inserts. So like that's what I'm considering, you know, something like this. This one I'm calling a double with an insert, or something like this one, you know, or that one, right? So I don't know how to count those. But anyways, overall, still pretty good, I think. Pretty good for a month's worth of effort. If you are interested in knowing more about base pages, I will leave a link to my playlist at the end of this video, so be sure to check that out. This is a collaboration, just a reminder, so be sure to check out the other collaborators by clicking on the playlist in the description below. And thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was a lot. I hope I didn't lose you part way through. And I hope you are inspired. Thanks so much for hanging out with me again, you guys. And until next time, happy crafting.